Your brand is so much more than just a palette of colors or a collection of images. Your conscious brand is you. If you create a brand that doesn't represent who you truly are, you're going to end up manipulating your truth to fit your brand. In this edition of Thursday's Thought, I get real about what it takes to create a conscious brand. Tune in and learn what not to do when creating a brand, a better way to get to know your audience, how your voice and your values impact your brand, and the 4 components of creating a conscious brand. If you dig this podcast, stay in the loop by signing up for my weekly emails. Sign up today at rubyfremon.com/subscribe. Whether you are a loyal thought leader or a brand new listener, please take a moment to download a few episodes and drop a rating and review on iTunes. I am almost at 100 ratings. Please help a sister out. Now, it is time to learn how to create your conscious brand. Hey, thought leaders, welcome to another edition of Thursday's Thought. And today's thought is something that I'm sharing with you with my friends over at 99 Designs. And the thought is, your conscious brand is you. So one of the number one mistakes that I see entrepreneurs and conscious leaders do when they're at the very beginning stages of building their movements is that they get really obsessed with trying to get the perfect website, the perfect logo, the perfect designs, the perfect color palette. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And in the hundreds of clients that I have worked with, this is something that has come up a lot. And it then becomes a roadblock. It then deters them from taking any action on their business because they have to wait until the website is up, or they have to wait until they have the perfect logo, or they have to wait until they have the perfect designs, and so on and so forth. And all this waiting is preventing them from actually taking action on their movement towards their mission. And maybe this is you. Maybe you've been spinning your wheels trying to perfect the exterior, right? I mean, it's really easy to get caught up in that mess because we live in a society that places a lot of power in the exterior. And what I mean by that is digital media, social media, everything is visual nowadays. And so, of course, you're going to feel pressured to try and put out the most perfect images right from the get-go. But let me tell you from experience, this is not what's going to help you build a powerful movement or legacy. It's not going to help you build an abundant money-making empire. It's not. It will definitely help later on, but what's going to support you right now in the beginning stages, or even in the first couple of years, is you going out there and doing the fucking work. And what I mean by doing the fucking work is not just doing the work to acquire your clients, put your programs out there, whatever it is, but doing that work on yourself. See, because at the end of the day, your conscious brand is you. It's not something that you are trying to fit into, which is what I am seeing in this space. Like, a lot of people are putting a lot of money and energy and time and effort into building their branding and their designs and their logos and their websites and all of this shit, like spending literally tens of thousands of dollars that they don't have to make this happen. Working with people who think that they know them, and then they create this website that looks like everyone else's website. There's nothing unique about it. There's nothing that really aligns with the person behind it. Or maybe it's like this unique website, but it has nothing to do with the person it is. Maybe you've hired a company to build this website and these designs for you, and it actually doesn't align with who you are. And so what happens is you start trying to fit into your brand. And what you think you want isn't always what is actually best for your conscious branding. What I mean by that is you may want to be the leader who is bold as fuck, says fuck in their copy, wears yellow nail polish. If you're watching the video, yes, I have neon yellow nail polish on right now. You may want to be that, but is that actually you? Is that who you are on a day-to-day basis? Because if you look at your branding from, like if you pull away and you look at your branding, all of it, the logos, the designs, the social media images, the photography, the website, all of it, that is really a snapshot of who you are as a conscious leader. That is a snapshot of who you are. That is what it is meant to be. And so you really need to get to know who you are. And I mean, this is like, for me, this is the basic foundations of building your legacy. Is it starts within. It starts with you. And if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you know that I am a true believer and liver. That's not even liver is an organ. So what I mean by that is, you know that I'm a true believer and a person who lives by the belief that the inner work is what creates the exponential results. It all starts with the inner work. So does your branding. It's not any different. And so whether you, the listener, whether you are really green in the game, you're just starting out, or maybe you're like 5 years in the business or 10 years down the road, whatever it is, wherever you are, this episode is going to be really powerful for you because you get to do an audit of your branding. And for those of you who don't have branding at all, this is the perfect time to do the work that I'm going to be sharing in this episode. Because your brand is not just a palette of colors. It's not just a collection of graphics and images. It's not just a website. Your conscious brand is you, period. It's you. And everything else is a visual representation of you. That's what branding is, a visual representation of you. So I want to talk about the fact that you are the foundation for your business, your movement, and your legacy, right? You are that foundation for it. So without you, the movement wouldn't happen. Without you, there would be no business. Without you, you would not be able to serve who you're here to serve. So you are the core of your business. And this is why it's imperative for you to do the conscious inner work needed to understand who you are and everything that makes you you prior to locking down your branding and your logo and your designs. And then, key thing, you know, again, if you've been listening to me for a while, you know how much I love evolution. Your brand is allowed to evolve as you evolve. In fact, your brand is meant to evolve as you evolve. Okay, so that means, yes, things are going to shift. Things are going to change. Things are going to be tweaked. And you get to do that so that you can continue to be in the fullest expression of what makes you you and what makes your brand your brand. This is so key. We see so many people in the leadership space or the entrepreneurial space kind of pigeonhole themselves into this certain bucket. And maybe they continue to grow and evolve, but they feel stuck in that bucket because that's, this bucket is what they've created all their programs on. For example, when I first started coaching, I worked as a self-love coach. And so I had self-love programs, coaching programs. I had a self-love Facebook group with 4,000 plus people that I grew organically within like a year and a half. It was nuts. I had self-love challenges. I had self-love quotables. I mean, everything was based around the idea of self-love. And then I started to, as I continued to grow, just doing my own inner work, being devoted to my own practices, learning, growing, evolving, I started to learn new things. And I realized that I felt very detached from the people that I was once serving. I felt extremely detached from my Facebook group. I felt detached from my programs. Like nothing felt like it was exciting me anymore. I didn't feel passionate about anything anymore. And that was a major sign for me as a coach, because if you're not passionate about something, if you're not excited about something, then why are you doing it? That lack of excitement is going to leak into your work that you do with your clients, or the work that you do when you're putting yourself out there, whether you're speaking on stages, writing books, whatever it is. It's going to impact that, and not in a good way. And so I made the decision to close out the Facebook group. That's where I started. And then I just slowly started shifting all my programs. And I didn't know fully exactly where I was going, but I knew that I had evolved past this. And I allowed my branding, my imagery, my programs, my courses to reflect that. And so this is what I mean. This isn't about making decisions that are going to drastically change who you are. This is about honoring your own personal evolution and bringing that into your branding. I mean, honoring your evolution, that is the epitome of being a conscious leader. You're here to honor your evolution and share that evolution with the world. And so you get to reflect that in your branding. So if you are a conscious leader who really desires to create a conscious brand, you have to understand that your brand is you. Okay. And in order to define your brand, you have to get clear on the 4 components of creating a conscious brand. And those 4 components are your values, your voice, what you do and do not stand for, and your audience. And I want to go through each of these things one by one so that you have a clear understanding of what each of these 4 components are and why they have such a big influence on your conscious brand. So the first component is know your values. I talk about values a lot. I believe that values are the foundation of who you are. It's like your skeletal system. It's like your framework. And everything that you do and go after is built upon this framework. So your values, they influence your choices, your decisions. They influence how you decide between one thing and another thing. They influence how you show up. Your core values, just put it this way, these are the things that are most important to you. And from my experience in working with clients, most people haven't actually done the work to identify what their values are. They're simply living their lives on complete autopilot, unaware of what their values are, and most likely just living upon the values that they've been raised on. So living their parents' values, or teachers, or the people who raised you, society's values, your cultural or religious upbringing's values. And these are influencing your decisions. And again, like maybe this is you, this is happening, and a sign that this is happening, a sign that you are not living with your own values and you're actually living, whether it's parents or the people who raised you, your society, cultural, religious upbringing. A sign that this is happening is that you're not feeling aligned in your life. You're not feeling fulfilled. You're not feeling happy. You're feeling frustrated all the time. You don't feel like you, right? See, if there are certain values that I take from my religion, Sikhism, one of which is service. That is something that I was raised to believe. We call it seva in Punjabi. And it's something that is so, so important to me. It wasn't something that I just took on and it's not my own. That is one of the core values that I learned through my religious upbringing that I've actually taken on as my own, and I love it. And I thrive on it, and I aim to serve each and every single day. And my career now is based on service, which is why it feels so, so good. If I were to ever work in an industry where there was no service whatsoever, I would not feel fulfilled at all. But there are other values that I just don't take on from my religion. Valuing, for example, let me think of a good one that I didn't take on. Always putting our elders before us. I was raised to believe this. And later on in life, I learned that what this did was it caused me to sacrifice my needs all the fucking time. And so now, do I still put elders before me when there's no sacrificing of myself or my boundaries or my needs. Yes. But if I'm going to be sacrificing my boundaries or my needs, no, I do not do that anymore. And yet I used to do it. So I share that example because I want you to really identify what are the things that are driving your choices. You know, so for some people with really polarizing religious upbringing, it's like, well, if I do this, I'll go to hell. Okay, do you believe in hell? Like, do you actually believe in that? And maybe the answers are no. Maybe you don't actually believe that you're going to go to hell. Maybe you feel like you're in hell right now because you're not living by your values. And so you get to pick apart this framework that you have within you to identify your own unique values. And so start by creating a list of your top 10 values. Okay, your top 10 values. And then you narrow it down to your top 5 values. You can Google online values and you'll get lists upon lists of values that you can pick from. But you're basically going to weed it down to the top 5 values, and those top 5 values become your non-negotiables. These are the things that you refuse to sacrifice in your life, both personally and professionally, and in your business, in your movement, in your legacy. These are the things that you refuse to sacrifice. So for me, again, service. That's something that I will never, ever, ever sacrifice. Integrity is my number one value. I will never sacrifice integrity. That is a non-negotiable. And if I find myself in a position where I am doing that, I will acknowledge it right away, own my shit, and get the fuck out of that and change and pivot. So it's really important that you understand these values, because this is what's going to help you create the framework for your conscious brand. The second component to the 4 components of building a conscious brand is to know your voice. I love this one because my entire journey has been one of really reconnecting to my voice and learning how to use my voice. And at the end of the day, my biggest purpose and mission in life is to give the world a voice, because this is my journey. And what I have found through working with clients, and also like especially at my events and at my workshops and at my retreats when I'm in person with people, is that it's really easy for us as human beings to mimic other people. Sometimes when we're in the presence of someone, we'll actually start to talk like them. I don't know if you've noticed this before. But if you're in the presence of someone and they have a very unique way of speaking, you might start to talk like them. Or if you've been, at one of my 3-day events, you might start saying fuck by the end of it. And the F word was something that you never said before attending my event. So why I share this is that it's important to understand, to decipher what is my unique voice. What is my voice that I would be using if no one else is around? Like, how do I actually speak? How do I actually communicate? What tone feels best? What words naturally come out of my mouth? Right? Because I bet we've all been to an event or watched someone speak on video, but I'm going to say the event because this one stands out a lot. We've all been somewhere where we see someone speaking on stage and they say fuck. And this is someone who doesn't normally say fuck. And it's like, wait, why'd you say that? That kind of feels weird. And the energy is thrown off. Or we see people who go on stage and they talk with big arm movements, very extravagant, jumping around, changing their tone, very excited, and not really grounded in who they are. But then in real life, they're not like that. So it creates this incongruency in who you are and how you're showing up. So you need to know your voice, because your message that you're sharing with the world, the message that is going to create the movement, your message is going to be shared through your voice. And your voice is going to be represented through your posts, through your images, through your website, through your logo. I mean, your branding is going to be a visual representation of your voice. Okay. So, for example, when I first started out, my first logo that I ever had was I am Ruby, and it was all script, like all tiny font script with a hummingbird. It was really beautiful and pretty and not really representative of all that makes me me. Okay. I'm a lot more than just a cursive handwritten font with a hummingbird. I love hummingbirds. I think cursive font is cute, and I'm pretty fucking bold. I As I continued on my journey and evolved as just a human being, and was focused on the inner work, I really started to discover my masculinity and how I actually show up best and feel at my best when I am fusing my masculine side with my feminine side. I have a fire to me, and that wasn't being shown in that original logo. And so I continued to let myself evolve. So this is about, not, you don't want to mimic the voice of other leaders. Okay. You want to get clear on your voice. Do you say the F word? Are you someone who says the F word naturally in a conversation? Are you a funny person? Like, do you crack jokes? Do you have a dry sense of humor? Are you super blunt, or do you prefer to be a little more tactful? Are you in people's faces, or are you more loving, or are you a mix of both? Are you soft spoken? Are you really loud and out there? I mean, these are things that you need to understand about who you are. And I mean, in your natural state, not in the pretend social media state. Okay. This isn't about expressing your facade through your branding. This is about expressing your truth. Okay. So again, your voice is how you communicate your message, and then your message becomes caked into your brand. And so it's a really, really important component of your conscious branding. So know your voice before designing your brand. The third component, I love this one. This was actually a game changer for me. And it's something that I still revisit. I mean, I revisit all these four components, but this one I revisit like almost weekly just to remind myself. And it's know what you do and do not stand for. So, in addition to your values and your framework, what are the beliefs that you stand for? What causes do you stand for, and who, like what groups of people do you stand for? um you have to know who you stand for. So for example, when there's shit going on in politics, are you the type of person who's going to speak up about it online or not? And no judgment here. There is absolutely no judgment. A person who speaks up versus a person who doesn't, is not about trying to make yourself better than the rest. It's just like, what are the causes you choose to speak up against? I know a lot of people who won't speak up against politics, but will speak up against vaccines. I know a lot of people who won't speak up against politics, but will speak up against animal cruelty, and vice versa. Right? So you just got to know, what are the causes that you are so passionate about that you will always speak up about in your branding, in your both your online and offline presence. And then in addition to that, you need to know, what is it that you're not going to stand for? Are you not going to stand up for politics? Are you not going to stand for bullshit? Are you not going to stand for victimhood? Are you not going to stand for, you know, let me share one, actually. Let me make it really personal here. And no judgment if you personally know me, and try not to make this about you. So I do not stand for falsified leadership, people who put themselves on pedestals, and people who are just really using their social media to fulfill their ego. Like I can't be around that. And I've been invited to events, like private events, personal events, where I'll show up and it's an entire fucking group of people who are way too busy on their phones storying about what's going on. Look at who I'm with. Look at this person. Look at this person. I mean, they don't actually say that, but they're basically doing that. And they're too busy showing social media where they are and who they're with, than actually connecting with the people in the room. And I have actually left these types of situations and gatherings, because for me, it's just, I don't stand for that. That doesn't align with who I am as a person, nor does it align with who I am as a conscious leader. And if I ever found myself at an event like that, I would fucking leave. I can't. That's not something that I believe in, nor do I want to be a part of. So you got to get clear on what you do and do not stand for. Are you someone who will use your brand to speak up against political turmoil or injustices that you see in the world? Are you someone who's going to stand up for communities of people? Get really, really clear on this, because it's going to impact the overall look and feel of your brand. Now, the fourth and final component is one that I know you've definitely heard before, but let me remind you of its importance. It is know your audience. And it's funny because, again, like working with so many different leaders, I come across this over and over and over again, where they say they know who their audience is, but they really don't, right? Because you think you have this vision in your head, but you've never actually done the work to fucking write this down and get super clear on this, because you think you know it. You think you know it, it's in your head, you're good to go. Well, let me tell you, that's not prepared at all. That's not doing the inner work. You've got to get it out of your head, get it out on paper, do the fucking work, do some research, understand your audience, connect with your audience. Okay. So who are you speaking to? Online and offline? Who do you serve? Who's in your community? And let me go back to, who are you speaking to? This is so important. Who are you speaking to? Because this could be the difference between you saying yes to a speaking gig and saying no to the speaking gig. I've said no to speaking gigs that have said, oh, but you can't swear on stage. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? If your crowd can't handle an F-bomb or two, then they are not my people. Okay. So I said no to that speaking gig. Plus, I just didn't want to compromise who I was. So you need to get clear on who you're speaking to and who you serve, right? Maybe you have products that serve these people. Maybe you serve them in a one-on-one or group capacity. And then who is in your community? So who is in your online community already? Who is in your online audience? Who is in your offline community? You need to understand, what are their needs? What are their desires? What are their struggles? What do they really want? What do they value? What do they believe? What are they going through? Even if you've done this before, do it again. This is something I do every single year. I will journal about it and make sure that I'm not just talking out of my fucking ass, which a lot of people are. And to be frank, maybe you are. Maybe you're talking out of your fucking ass. I have called out so many clients when they tell me who their ideal client is, because it's like, no, that's actually not your ideal client. That's your aspirational client who you're not even ready to serve yet, who isn't even going to be best served by you. Like, why is there this rise? And at first there was a rise in coaches who support six-figure entrepreneurs. Now there's a rise in coaches who support seven-figure entrepreneurs. And now we're starting to see a little bit of a rise in coaches who are serving 7+ figure to 8-figure entrepreneurs. Why? Well, let me call you out. It's because you have some sort of scarcity beliefs, and you think that if you only work with 6, 7, 8-figure entrepreneurs, they're going to be able to pay you. But are you actually equipped to serve them? Are you? Get real. Get super fucking real. This goes down to, who are you most passionate about serving? Who are you most equipped to serve? Who would you be so excited to serve? Take the money out of the fucking equation right now. If you got scarcity shit to deal with that separately. But get clear on who it is that you serve. And yes, this is 100% of the time who you used to be. Okay? You're serving the version of you that you were a few years back. That's it. That's who you're serving. Whether you like it or not, whether you want to admit it or not, that's who you're serving. So get super, super clear on that. You have to get into the heads of those people. And the best way, and you could do market research, you can put out surveys. I've done this too. I've done this before, and it's great and all. And my audience is kind of this hodgepodge of people that, like, a lot of people have been following me for like 10 years. And that was back in my promoter days. They just continue to follow me because they love me. They appreciate me. And so sometimes the surveys can be hit or miss because you're sending them out to your audience, but they're not actually all aligned clients. Okay. So the best way to get inside the heads of your audience is to connect with them, talk to them, have conversations with them, reach out to them in DMs, get to know them. Don't act as if you're too high up your pedestal to have a conversation, not a sales pitch, but a conversation with someone in your audience. Okay. Connect with them, get to know them. And I assure you, if you do this with like 10 people that feel like your ideal audience members that are in your audience that you would love to serve, that again, you're equipped to serve, it's the you were a few years back, you'll get a more refined list of who your audience is, a better description of who they are. So the better you know your audience, the easier it becomes, obviously, to design a brand that draws them in. Okay. So again, if my audience, for some reason, I mean, this wouldn't even be true, but if my audience didn't respect people with tattoos because they are, I don't know, they live in a farm in the middle of the USA and have never seen a colored person with tattoos. And yeah, that would never be my audience, but they would not appreciate my brand, right? Because all my photos, I wear tank tops. I show my tattoos very intentionally so. You can see the word fuck in my copy and my love punches. It wouldn't resonate. But again, I know my audience and I know it resonates with them. So this is why it's so important, because everything that you do, your website design, your website copy, even just the look and feel of your logo needs to appeal to your audience. I work with men and women. I have male clients and I have female clients and everything in between. I work with the LGBTQ community. I've had actually quite a few clients in that community. And my logo needs to appeal to all of them. And before, when it was way too feminine, it didn't appeal to me, but it didn't appeal to them either. So now I feel like with the help of 99 Designs, I have this amazing logo that I feel represents the masculine and the feminine side of who I am, the fun and the bold, the playful and the, what do I want to say? The confident, the woman who doesn't beat around the bush, but will also like hug you. I feel like that's what my logo represents now. Again, like thanks to 99 Designs. But the better you know your audience, the easier it becomes to design a brand that brings them in, that attracts them. Okay. So there you go. That's the 4 components of creating a conscious brand. And let me repeat them for you. You have to know your values. You have to know your voice. You have to know what you do and do not stand for. And you have to know your audience. Okay. So do the work, the inner work to know this. And then once you've gotten really clear on these 4 components, which honestly, like this, take 1 week to do this work, to talk to your people, your audience, to dive within yourself, to understand what your voice is, what your tone is, what your values are. And you'll have it. You'll have the 4 components. And once you have those 4 components, you are ready to run a design contest on 99 Designs. And I say design contest because this is what I did and I really loved it. Look, you can go and hire a branding agency who's going to charge you like $20,000, $25,000 to whip up your entire new brand, or you can go to 99 Designs and get like multiple designers working with you to create your super aligned conscious logo and designs. And I loved the process. When I was creating my most recent logo design, my most recent logo redesign contest on 99 Designs, I received 184 logo entries. Okay. Like what agency is going to give you 184 options to pick from? And those entries came from 44 different designers. So I literally had 40 like designs from 44 different designers come my way, which was this range of different things that I could look at, and I could decide what actually feels more like me, what doesn't. I got my audience involved. Maybe you remember this because you were part of it, and I was doing voting polls on Facebook and on Instagram stories, getting you involved. What feels like me? What do you like the best? I mean, at the end of the day, I was going to pick it anyways, but it was great to get your input. And it helped me create a deeper connection with my audience because I was bringing you into something. So it's fun. And the best part about this is the first time that I've redesigned my logo. I've had 3 different logos. This is the first time where in the redesign process, I was really clear on the 4 components. Like I was super fucking clear on my values, on my voice, on my audience, on what I do and do not stand for, which made the selection process so much easier. Plus 99 Designs has this like thorough onboarding process where they ask a ton of questions that are super in depth, but they include aspects of the 4 components and so much more. And then that actually gets sent out in the contest to all the designers have access to it. They can see it, and that's how they start to create the designs for you. And you can put images, things you like, things that you feel represent you, so you can actually attach files. My invitation to you is, rather than quickly going to the visual representation, do the inner work first, get the 4 components down first. And then if you want to attach files that really feel aligned with those 4 components. Okay. So I shouldn't just say me and 99 Designs have a really, really special offer for you where you can get a $99 upgrade to your design contest on 99 Designs. So if you want to get your $99 upgrade on 99 Designs, just go to rubyfremon.com/99 Designs upgrade. Okay. That link will also be in the show notes. So do that. And if you have any questions about my experience with 99 Designs, please feel free to reach out to me on social media at I am Ruby. If you've been a loyal listener, thank you so much. You've probably noticed that I don't actually partner up with a lot of different brands. I get approached by a lot of brands to sponsor their shit or become affiliates, but I don't say yes because integrity. So I only partner with other brands or organizations that I truly, truly believe in. And I believe that 99 Designs is fucking genius. They've found a problem, which is branding can be really fucking unaffordable for a lot of entrepreneurs and leaders. So they created this amazing platform where you have access to tons and tons of designers and things like contests to create your new designs and your new logos. And the process is super fun and super incredible. So if you are looking to get a new logo redesign after doing these 4 components, of course, make sure you claim your $99 upgrade to your design contest on 99 Designs by going to rubyfremon.com/99 Designs upgrade. And the link is in the show notes. Now, remember, when you create a brand that doesn't actually represent you, you're going to end up manipulating your truth, your voice, who you are, to fit your brand. And that's not how this works. Your conscious brand is you. You want your brand to represent you. So do the inner work needed, get clear on these 4 components to create your conscious brand, and then head on over to 99 Designs to get your aligned as fuck designs. And special announcement, if you're listening to this on release day, keep your eyes on my Instagram because I'm going to be doing a major giveaway with 99 Designs very, very soon, as in maybe today. So keep your eyes on my Instagram at I am Ruby. And again, if you have any questions, reach out to me at I am Ruby. Thank you so much for joining me for another edition of Thursday's Thought. I'm today's Thought Leader, where I'm challenging you to rise up, speak up, and create a movement. Remember to claim your $99 upgrade to your design contest on 99 Designs by going to rubyfremon.com/99 Designs upgrade. Make sure, and this is my special little request, make sure you download a few episodes and drop a rating and review on iTunes. Help a girl out. I would love to hit the charts. So do this. And if you love this podcast, please share it with a few friends. Help me get my download numbers up, because I would really love for these messages to get to more people, because this is what's going to help create a ripple effect of impact. So share the love by sharing this podcast. And then if you dig this podcast, make sure you stay in the loop by signing up for my weekly emails at rubyfremon.com/subscribe. Again, any questions, or you just want to say hi, or you want to share your biggest insights of this episode, please reach out to me at I am Ruby. And then make sure you check back on Monday for a brand new episode of Today's Thought Leader featuring Jenna Sophia. We're going to be talking about your subconscious patterns and how to shift them. This is a really, really powerful episode, especially for those of you who are struggling with some of these ongoing patterns that you can't seem to shift. Okay, so stay tuned for that. It's coming up. Thank you so much, thought leaders. I appreciate you. And like I said, share this episode with a friend.